folks, and welcome back to Typology, the show on which we explore the mystery of the human personality and the great adventure all through the lens of the Enneagram. My name is Anthony Skinner, your producer and co-host. And without any further ado, I'm excited to announce the man of the hour, Ian Cron. Ian, how
Anthony,
you doing?
Man, I'm doing so well. I went to a retreat in New Mexico recently, and I had to admit to the group that I am ridiculously happy. And it was not greeted with enthusiasm because everyone else was there, because they're not.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know if it's being my age or doing the work that I've done, whatever, but I have good work. I feel good emotionally, spiritually, physically. I have a beautiful wife, wonderful kids.
Is it less scary to feel good as it did maybe 20 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Like 20 years ago, I feel good. I need to do something to change this.
You know, I recently read Ronald Rolheiser's new book. It's called Insane for the Light, and it's about the last third of life. And I love what he has to say in it. And one of the goals that I have is that the last two words that I say on my deathbed are thank you.
I love
That's the
that.
goal. Live in such a way that the last two words you say are thank you.
Oh man, that's good. That makes me want to just breathe in and out right now.
Yeah.
Well, listen, today is episode 2 of 5. Last week was our listener mailbag. If you missed it, go back and start there. It's the series on-ramp, and it frames everything that we're building on.
Yeah, and today we're going to be talking about basic fears and basic desires of each type. And I love this material. And I love that we're getting down at the level of motivation. Like, what is underneath the predictable habitual patterns of a 4, 7, a 9, right? And let me just sort of frame it this way. Every Enneagram type is in part organized around a basic fear, what that type is running from, and a basic desire, meaning what that type is running toward.
Right.
And, you know, these are engines underneath behavior, right?
Yeah.
Most people who know their type know their number. Fewer know about that type's characteristic fears and desires.
Yeah, so this is where we stop dancing around the surface and start getting to the real thing. So a quick note, this series works best in order, but each episode does stand alone. So whether you're listening straight through or jumping in, we welcome you here right now, right where you are. And so let's go ahead and dig in.
Yeah.
So talking basic fears, basic desires, let's start with why these matter. I know the Enneagram. I know what my type does. Why do I need to know what it fears?
Yeah, this is key. If you only know what your type does, you have a description of your personality. But if you know what your type fears, you have more of an explanation for it, right?
Oh, that's good.
The behavior is the map and the fear is the territory, right?
That's good. Yeah.
So every single behavioral pattern in the Enneagram, every tendency, every defense, every coping strategy is downstream of a basic fear. And the fear is what we're trying to manage. And everything else is the strategy.
So the fear is primary.
It is. And this is largely Riso and Hudson work, right? So just to be transparent where this is coming from. There are lots of ways that we could talk about this, but I think from their perspective, it's a helpful and useful thing to know about. The fear is really primary, right? And what's interesting is that most of us don't know what our fears are, really. We feel it. It drives us, but we haven't really named it.
Yeah.
And one of the most powerful things the Enneagram can do is give you a name for what you've been running from for a lot of your life.
Oh,
right?
That's good. So let's go through them. Let's walk through all 9.
Oh, okay. So as I mentioned earlier, each type has a basic fear and a corresponding basic desire. And the desire is essentially the positive counterpart, what the type is moving toward in response to the fear. So there are two sides of the same coin. So in the case of the ones, the perfectionists, their basic fear is being corrupt, being defective, or morally wrong. And their desire is to be good, to have integrity, and to do the right thing even when nobody's looking. And so the one is constantly working, improving, correcting, because underneath there's this fear or terror of being fundamentally bad or wrong or mistaken. Now, obviously, you can see where that could, if you're being run by your fears, there's all kinds of room for trouble.
That's good. So it's not really about the thing that needs fixing. It's about quieting the fear.
Well, yeah, or gosh, there's so many ways to answer that. It's about naming the fear. It's about, how would I say this? Compassionately working with yourself around the fear. Because no matter what the one does, they can't fix their way out of that fear, right?
Right.
Which is where the one's journey can be tragic if that's all they do. Like if all they do is keep trying to improve and fix and perfect themselves in order to, as a way of running away from that fear.
Oh yeah.
And not to mention fixing and perfecting everybody else, right?
Totally.
It's like it turns into a problem.
Type 2.
Yeah, the helpers. Their basic fear is really being unworthy of love, of being unwanted or unloved. And their basic desire is to feel loved, liked and loved. So the 2 gives and they serve and they attend to others, not out of pure altruism. Again, this is when they're not very healthy.
Yeah.
Though they are genuinely caring people, but because love feels conditional and service is how you earn it, right? Meeting the needs of others is how you earn it.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is, because 2s don't often consciously experience it as conditional. They experience it as genuine generosity. Wow. And that's why they're so surprised when they find out pride is their passion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes it is genuine service to others, but they have to get honest about their motives.
Yeah.
Because the Enneagram is always asking, why are you doing the thing you're doing?
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Type 3s?
The achiever, right? We sometimes call them the performers. Basic fear is being worthless or without inherent value. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't think that's my basic fear, I want you to sit with it. I want you to just sit with it and contemplate it, ponder it. Ask yourself, is that my basic fear? Like, just sit with it.
Wow.
The basic desire of the 3 is to feel valuable and worthwhile. So the 3 performs, they succeed and achieve because at a deep level, they believe their worth is tied to their output, right? And they fear that if they stop producing, they'll lose that inherent value or worth. They'll disappear. Right?
That makes burnout like devastating for a 3.
Yeah, because the thing they use to manage the fear is gone, and now the fear has nowhere to hide.
Wow. Okay, 4s?
All right, individualists or romantics, basic fear, having no identity or personal significance. So there's a fear that they're ordinary and there's nothing unique or special about them. To particularly nothing, the fear would be, I don't have enough that's unique or special about me to compensate for the missing piece that I feel, that sense of inner lack that I feel.
Yeah.
And the basic desire is to find themselves and their significance, to find themselves and their significance. So the 4 turns inward, cultivates depth and uniqueness, and often holds on to pain because at least pain is theirs. It distinguishes them. My story, my suffering. So, there it is.
Oh, man. Gosh. So where does that one land for you personally since you're a 4?
I was thinking about this recently, that when I was younger, I was on such a quest to figure out my meaning. What's the meaning of me? What's the purpose of my life? Where am I going? How will it, how does it fit into the bigger story of God? And these aren't bad questions until they become obsessive in nature.
Yeah. They're good questions.
Yeah, but they can become burdensome because there's really, the 4 is just never satisfied with whatever answer they come up with.
Whatever comes up, yeah. Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, maybe. I think about my childhood, and there was a lot of rough stuff there. Mm-hmm. And I just became addicted to the story of how I lost the missing piece, right? Mm-hmm. And it was all about my dad, and it was all about my childhood, and I became completely over-identified with the story of what happened to me. Like, when I wrote the story of you, which, I have a, kind of a weird relationship with that book, but because of the season in which I wrote it, but there's really a great premise in it, and not original to me, but the premise is that, we all are a story that we tell ourselves about who we are and about what happened to us and about how the world works and why things happen to us. And we concoct stories for those things. But if you're in the wrong story, as a friend of mine used to say, if you find yourself in the wrong story, leave. Like, you are in the wrong story. The four can get stuck in the wrong story. Every type gets stuck in the wrong story until they do the work.
Can I tell a little miracle story of something I was stuck in?
Yeah.
So this is years and years ago, decades ago, but I was hurt by someone in such a way that it was, it crippled me big time. And for the next year and a half, when someone asked me to tell them my story, it was it always led to this pain point. And I was with a family friend, and I was driving from my parents' house to Memphis for the Memphis in May festival, where I got to see Bob Dylan and Earth, Wind and Fire on the same bill. And we're driving, and she asked me to tell, my story, and I'm telling it. And of course I ended with this hurt, because it was kind of my story for the last year and a half. And, I am a person of faith. And when I said it, I finished my, and I'll back up for a second. I had a conversation with this person where I addressed them, and they kind of pushed it off, and they didn't acknowledge the pain. So we're driving along, going to Memphis. I told the story, and I felt like I had this sense from God that, and this came out of the blue, because it wasn't like an original thought to me. That is the last time you're ever going to tell that story as it having defined you. You can tell the story, but you will never tell it again as it having defined you. And I was like, I really said, what does that mean? What does that mean? I was like, and I didn't say anything to this person. Driving along, not an exaggeration, pull into the parking lot in Memphis, get out of the parking lot, and this person who lived in Texas was across the parking lot, made a beeline for me, gave me a hug, backed up, and said, I finished this conversation with this person. I made a phone call and said, you hurt me, and they just didn't want to talk about it. They said, do you remember that phone call you made? I mean, it was like picking up where I had just talked with this, and they said, I am so sorry. And it was it was just period. It was as if God just went, we're landing this plane right now, and it's done. Beautiful.
Oh, wow. I love that story. I want more of those in my life.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move to fives.
Yeah. So the investigators, sometimes called the observers, basic fear, being helpless, useless, or incapable, and being overwhelmed by the demands of the world. And the basic desire is to be competent, capable, and to understand everything. So the five withdraws, and they study, and they conserve energy because the world feels like it's going to drain them. And they need to know enough to feel safe in it.
Yeah, that's why the fives retreat and need so much time alone.
Yeah, it's not antisocial, right? It's refueling.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's read as being antisocial or as being aloof, right?
I was telling my brother about this the other day, because we have someone in the family who I think is a five. And I said, one of the common things you hear about fives, I believe, at parties is, where did Bobby go? Where did Susan go? Because they just sort of quietly disappear.
The Irish goodbye.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the old Irish goodbye. And this member of our family constantly does that. And I was like, I was telling my brother, it's not antisocial. They have to go recharge.
Exactly. Because for them, the world is costly.
Yeah.
And they need to build up enough internal resources to engage with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that, sometimes requires a pit stop.
Yeah, right.
They need to check out and refuel. I love fives. I have so many five friends. And they're really gems on the Enneagram.
Mm-hmm. They are. Let's go to sixes.
Yeah, the loyalists, sometimes called the devil's advocates, right? Basic fear, being without support, guidance, or security, and being without a sense of certainty. I'd add that. So the basic desire is to have security and feel supported. So the six, as we know, regularly scans for threats and tests loyalties, questions relationships, looks for worst case scenarios, doesn't trust themselves enough. And that all that sort of catastrophizing is there because if something goes wrong, they want to be prepared, right? So, they're worried that they're alone and unsupported. They got to have a plan. The vigilance is the six trying to make sure they'll never be caught off or caught without a safety net.
It's interesting. So it's why the sixes are some of the most loyal people you'll ever meet, because loyalty is the thing they're building against their own fear.
Yeah, or loyalty is, well, sometimes it's just driven by neurotic stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's I'm being loyal to you because if I'm loyal to you, you will be loyal to me when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
But also it has to do with it. Like sixes are just like often fundamentally really good, practical people, and they are, once they are sure that you're reliable and that you have plans in place for when things go wrong and instructions for them as to how they should proceed should things go wrong.
Yeah.
They're with you till the bitter end.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Love me some sixes. Type 7.
Yeah, the enthusiast. The basic fear, being trapped in pain, or I like this, feeling deprived, missing out on something, like the fullness of life. Like, what if I'm deprived? The basic desire is to be satisfied and content, to have their needs met. So the 7, right, is constantly moving, keeps generating options and experiences, because if you stay still long enough, the pain finds you. And the busyness is actually an avoidance strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I always, whether you tell somebody that's not a 7 that, or if you tell a 7 that, it's like they're usually typically shocked, like, really? Like, I'm using this sort of happy thing to avoid like something that's painful. It's usually kind of a big surprise for that 7.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you had said I have one of my kids is in recovery.
Yeah.
And if you said to this person before they got in recovery, you're really anxious and you're scared of being left alone to deal with painful feelings that you kind of irrationally believe you're going to get stuck in forever.
Yeah.
That they would have looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and then when they were in treatment, they got sober, it was like, oh, now I see it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It was so clear to them at that point that was so much of the driver. I really don't want to be trapped in, I don't want to feel trapped in anything. I don't want to feel trapped in pain. I don't want to feel deprived. And so much of this was just an escape strategy to avoid what the rest of us feel like all the time.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Folks, here's something I think about a lot. We are more fluent in the language of mental health than any generation before us. We know the vocabulary, we share the articles, we tell our friends, you should really talk to someone. And yet, when it's our turn to ask for help, sometimes something stops us. Maybe it's the fear of being seen as unable to cope, or the quiet voice that says, you're not struggling enough to deserve it. BetterHelp wanted to understand where that gap is coming from, so they conducted some research. BetterHelp's 2026 State of Stigma report surveyed 2,000 Americans and revealed that 85% of Americans believe getting support is smart and wise, yet 74% say society discourages people from doing so. That's the gap stigma lives in, and it's worth naming out loud. So, how do we close that gap? It starts with us, normalizing the conversation, checking in on the people around us and actually meaning it, and being willing to say, I'm seeing someone, without lowering your voice. When we make it safe for others to ask for help, we make it easier for ourselves too. And if you're ready to take that step, BetterHelp makes the process a little less daunting. They do the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire connects you with a fully licensed therapist matched to your needs. And as the world's largest online therapy platform, if the match isn't right, you can switch anytime. Don't let stigma stand in the way of support. Start therapy with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/typologypodcast. That's betterhelp.com/typologypodcast. Hey, I want to take a minute to tell you about something I've put together specifically for the Enneagram ones in our audience. On July 29th, I'm hosting a live 2-hour session on Zoom called Learning to Let Go: Steps to Transformation for Enneagram ones. And I want to be clear about what this is and what it isn't. This is not a lecture. It isn't more information about your type. If you've been listening to this show for any length of time, you probably already have plenty of that. What this is a guided, shared experience. 2 hours with other Enneagram ones, moving through a number of steps designed for the one's inner world. Okay? It'll be practical, it'll be grounded, and built around grace more than grit. This session is not about fixing yourself. Rather, it's about learning to work with who you are and who you can become. This is a live session only with no replay. So to learn more or to register, head over to ianmorgancron.com/lettinggo. The session is Wednesday, July 29th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. I really want to see all you Enneagram ones there. So again, go to ianmorgancron.com/lettinggo and come learn about the gift of being an Enneagram 1.
I have a 7 that I know, and she went through a really difficult time and had like a real serious panic attack and had to go to the hospital. And I went to go visit her, and she was not happy that I saw her in that state. You know, it was like she did not want to be, sort of discovered in this state of like intense anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, but to be clear, like healthy 7s are joyful because they've made peace with the full range of human experience.
And I love like we've talked before about the difference between joy and happiness. Like joy is something that's appropriate, or joy and being funny. Like joy is appropriate in any season. It's like appropriate when in a death. It's appropriate in the most painful of situations. I think that's why the old proverb, the joy of the Lord is our strength. It's like joy does provide strength. And so it's like, but I think sometimes that gets confused, and sometimes the 7 tries to be funny in times when it's not appropriate, and an unhealthy 7, by the way. But
yeah, right.
Rabbit trail. Okay, let's type 8.
Yeah, the challengers. Basic fear: being controlled, being violated, betrayed, or harmed by others. And the basic desire is to protect themselves, right? To control and determine their own course in life.
Yeah.
So the 8 comes out hot, right? Strong, takes charge, pushes through, because vulnerability feels not only dangerous, it feels like a weakness to them. So the strength is armor over a surprisingly tender interior.
Yeah, that's why when you get to that layer, it can be so surprising or striking.
Yeah, it's real, right? Yeah. It's earned, and it costs them something to show it. And it's and when an 8 really gets that idea that don't confuse vulnerability with weakness, it's beautiful to watch how it changes them.
Yeah. All right, the 9.
Yeah, the peacemaker, basic fear, the loss of connection, conflict, the experience of interior and exterior disharmony.
Mm-hmm.
So their basic desire is to have inner stability and peacefulness. So the 9 will accommodate, they'll merge with other people or agendas. They'll go along to get along because conflict feels like it could shatter everything, and then they would fragment, they would lose connection. And the self erasure isn't weakness per se, it's the 9's attempt to hold the world together. It's interesting. We had a guy in our Typology Institute membership say something recently I've thought about since, which is that he one of his strategies is to basically disappear, to get so small he disappears, and not to assert himself. And I thought, wow, what a cool, honest admission. To get so small and to disappear.
Yeah, that was good.
So as not to lose connection. And but as you know, there's a cost, right?
Oh, serious cost. Yeah, it's enormous.
Yeah, because they there is that self-erasure, that self-negation. The 9's own needs and desires and opinions disappear in the process, right? And many 9's don't even know what they want because they've just been suppressing what they want for so long.
Yeah. It's like you and I have talked about, and I've had like integration groups for people, and I know you've done a lot of workshops with 9's when they truly come to a place where they reveal some of their anger. And, anger is the most vulnerable emotion because it reveals what you really care about. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, there you are,
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's talk for a moment about what do you do with this information?
Yeah.
The first thing I'd say is don't try to take a mallet to the fear and beat it out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to work.
Can't do it anyway.
No, you can't do it anyway. And it usually just drives it underground, and it'll express itself in some equally dysfunctional way without you knowing it. What you want to do is to observe it in action.
Right.
So you learn to recognize when it's triggered or activated.
Yeah.
And then notice what it's, inspiring or wanting you to do.
Yeah, let it inform you.
Yeah. When we, oftentimes when we're, how do I want to say this? There's a concept I talk about a lot. When we're unconsciously in our basic fear, we say we're in the grip. Everything narrows. Our range of response shrinks to the most automatic version of ourselves. And learning to name the fear when it's happening, even just internally, creates a tiny bit of space. Again, here's this quote, between the stimulus and the response. And in that space, you now have a choice.
That self-awareness piece.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I would also tell you that once you know the basic fear, you can begin to practice contrary action. And contrary action is doing precisely the opposite. In other words, let's say, you could even choose to do things to diminish the fear. So, in psychology, there's a rather primal way of dealing with fear, which is flooding. Like if you're afraid of heights, go jump out of an airplane. You'll see how, you know what I'm saying? Like just go face the fear.
Yeah.
Or do the opposite of what you would normally do. Or what it is that your fear is asking you to do. And you're going to find out that the fear is not some giant monolithic thing inside of you. It's just a vaporous kind of presence, right? It's a leftover from another time.
Is there a practice that goes with this?
Yeah. Well, I would just call it contrary action.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe you could start by spending a week just paying attention to what you're avoiding. Not what you do, but what you don't do.
Yeah, that's good.
What you sidestep, what makes you anxious, a lot of times, if you trace that avoidance backwards, you're going to find the basic fear sitting right there at the root.
That's good. It's good. All right. Episode 2 down. Next week, we go into instincts. And if you think fears and desires go deep, instincts go even deeper. So you're going to love this next one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I love talking about instincts.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss it. And show notes with resources are below. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, y'all. May you have love. May you have joy. May you have peace. May you have healing. May you have rest. Until next time, my friends.